Hey everybody, today we're going to give a Kubota Lawn Tractor some long overdue maintenance. In this first video I'm going to concentrate on getting the engine to run. The second video will cover an overhaul of the cutting deck. Why don't you hit the subscribe button to be notified when it gets posted. My brother found this tractor when we were having some troubles with our aging Craftsman. We got it just before winter arrived with the understanding that it had been sitting for a while and probably had a few issues. The battery is fairly new and still has a pretty good charge. Still, I'm going to give it an overnight top up just to know that it's fresh when I start doing the cranking tomorrow. So it ran when we got it, but it didn't run well and it didn't run long. I suspect it's got old gas and probably a dirty carb. And all these squirrels and mice have made their usual mess. I'm really hopeful that they didn't do any wire damage. I've been down that road far too many times and it's never very much fun. I'll just do a quick cleanup before I go too far and look everything over pretty carefully. There are absolutely no signs of life on my first attempt to start it, not even a single pop. I knew it was kind of a long shot, but you know, I had to try, right? Since this machine is fairly new to me, I'm planning on going over it pretty thoroughly. Thankfully, the plastic housing comes off pretty quickly and easily, and it looks like I'll have pretty good access to most of the engine. I always feel a lot better once I hear an engine fire for the first time. It doesn't necessarily have to run long, it just has to fire. It just has to let me know that the compression is good. That tells me all the fundamentals of the engine are probably okay and that there's at least spark to start with. Any carburetor on an engine that has sat for a few years is almost certainly going to need a good cleaning. Old gas can make a real mess of the inside when it dries out. The passages inside a carburetor are really fine. It just doesn't take very much to mess things up if one of them gets plugged. With the carburetor out of the way, the first thing to check is that gas is flowing through the fuel lines properly. The rubber on hoses eventually dries out, they crack, they leak, and they plug. It's hard to know when the fuel filter was last replaced, and that's a very common cause of fuel starvation. After a few cranks, the fuel pump starts spitting out gas. I think I might have saw some debris come out of the end of the line, although it's really hard to be sure. This is a really straightforward carb. That thing with the wire on the bottom is a fuel shutoff solenoid. It stops the engine when you turn the key off. There's a bit of garbage in the bottom of the bowl. It's possible a little piece of debris has plugged something up. The float needle is about the only thing that can be replaced here. I'll test it a bit later and I'll get a new one if I have to. There's no removable jets, so my only option is to blow some cleaner through the passages to make sure they're open. It's hard to say if anything's come out, but none of them seem to be blocked, which I can take as a positive sign. The fuel shutoff solenoid tests okay. It retracts when the key is turned on and releases when it's off. It works by plugging the main fuel passage in the bottom of the carburetor to starve the engine of fuel. the tractor fires up easy enough and seems to be running fairly strong. When I checked the oil earlier, I noticed that it was kind of ugly, really black and maybe a little burnt smelling. So I really don't want to run it too long this first time. The filter indicates that the last change was 13 years ago, which really doesn't surprise me. While the oil drains, I'll take a minute to replace the fuel line and filter. These large clear plastic filters are handy when you're suspicious of your gas tank. I'll keep a close eye on it and see if it catches anything. Lawnmowers seem to attract all kinds of stuff in their tanks. The filler hole is usually quite large and it's not that hard for grass clippings to find their way in during refueling. Okay, well that's it for the engine. With a clean carburetor, some premium gas, and some fresh engine oil, the tractor starts and runs much better now. The next step is to figure out why the main drive belt to the mower deck keeps getting thrown off. I'll have that video up fairly soon. If you subscribe to my channel, you'll be notified when it gets posted, and of course you'll also get notified when all of my other cool videos show up. Thanks for watching.